Welcome to another Monday Mini of Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
This is Orlando. And today we're going to talk about why reselling full-time is better than a 9-to-5.
Yeah, this is the long-awaited episode. This is the one that you guys have been waiting for probably since last week when we mentioned we were going to do it. And we're glad to tell you the wait is over. Today, we're finally going to cover why reselling is better than a 9-to-5. And if you missed last week's Monday Mini, go check it out because we talked about some of the pros of being 9-to-5. And I think that there are legitimate pros to being 9-to-5. However, I think that whether it's reselling or something else, a lot of people are waking up to the reality that the 9-to-5, although there is a lot of potential security and other things that come into place, there's also a lot of downfalls to it that you can escape and kind of have more control over your life as you move into reselling or some other entrepreneurial job of some sort, or whether it's just owning a business. So we're going to be talking about those today, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, so there's a lot. Hey, the hard thing about it was our why the 9-to-5 is should have been titled why 9-to-5 is better than reselling without the question mark. You put the question mark on there. But I think the reason why Mike put it is because when we started doing the episode, it was hard for us to make those 9-to-5 arguments.
Well, I know I don't even think that's the case. I think that both of these, because we can't be talking out of both sides of our mouth, right? Like we can't actually say 9 to 5.
Try.
Well, I mean, but that would be terrible. It would be bad to say like this one is better and this one is better. They can't both be better. Like we can say, here are the benefits. So do you think these benefits make it this better? And here are the benefits for the other one. Do you like, so we can have our opinions on it. And then we can offer that to people, but we can't say both of them are better. Like we can't have an episode where we legitimately are saying both are the best because either one is better than the other or one has benefits the other one doesn't have. And I think that's more what we were talking about is here are some of the benefits that potentially are better, but we wouldn't say that 9-to-5 is better.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I see that. I mean, the first one though, and the fact that it's the first one, I try to keep the best one for last, but this might be the best one, is the time freedom of being a full-time reseller. Now, we did talk about last time how when you're a full-time reseller, you're always working, right? You're always answering messages, but the level of work is completely different. Right. So I have a lot more free time as a full-time reseller than I did as a 9-to-5. So I make my own schedule. I choose when I want to go do things. When one of my kids has an event going on that we forgot about, I can just drop whatever I'm doing and I can go to the event. I don't have to call in sick. I don't have to have somebody cover for me. It's done. If I want to plan on vacation, next month and I want to make it that it's Monday through Friday. I don't have to worry about, taking time off. I can leave whenever I want. And so the beauty of being a full-time reseller is just the time freedom. I have so much more time. And I don't work the 60 to 80 hours a week. There was a time, and sometimes there is a time where I do that. But it's hard for me to even hit, 30 to 40 hours. Now, could I scale more if I had done that? Yes, but I choose not to. I choose to stay where I'm at.
Yeah, I think another way of putting it besides just freedom is flexibility, right? That time flexibility of
true.
Because a lot of times you could be going for absolute time freedom in the sense of you set up your business where you are working way less. You've made your money work for you and all of these other things that we've talked about on various episodes and some of our level up reviews where we've done book reviews. But I think a lot of what you're talking about, I think is what a lot of people are drawn to with reselling is that flexibility. Because there are a lot of jobs too where you own your own business, but you really don't have time flexibility in a lot of ways where, hey, I'm starting a business, a store, right? Well, it needs to be open, or I'm, a brick and mortar of some kind, or I'm starting a plumbing business. Well, I'm kind of on call. Somebody needs me and this is my business. So it's the middle of the night and I'm going to go start, working on someone's pipes. So what kind of gives you the freedom is you have flexibility in that like you said, you can decide how much you're going to work one week. Next week you can adjust that. And so, yeah, that's it. That's a huge one. The next one is the adventure, like just having the ability to go out and we've talked a lot about one of the things that we love about reselling, the sourcing, even the once you've sourced items, like learning more about those items, the adventure of the treasure hunt, going out. I remember the first few times my wife and I did retail arbitrage together, and it was like exciting to go from store to store, and we're like checking the stores. What do they have? Do they have the items we're looking for? Okay, let's scan a few more items. And then when it's like playing a slot machine or rolling the dice at a casino or something, that they are those things, those dopamine hits are at casinos essentially or intentionally set up in order to release enough consistently to keep you hooked.
Mhm.
In reselling, it's not necessarily that way because there's nobody can set it up for you that way. But when you get that dopamine hit of you just scanned an item that you're unblocked or ungated in on Amazon, and it's a really low ranking item, and you're going to be able to source a whole bunch of these things, or you're at a garage sale and you lift up a box and you find a worthless item and you move that worthless item and underneath is a grail item, right? Like the excitement that you can get from that. There are very few times in most 9-to-5s where you have that kind of excitement. Now you may have a 9-to-5 where, you're a paramedic and there's just a lot of adrenaline going when you're rushing to a scene and time goes really fast because you're, doing something really intense. But most 9-to-5 jobs, it's just very monotonous. And it can be like that with reselling when you're listing and doing other things, but you always have that. You've got a story behind every item you've sourced. You've got the excitement of going out and sourcing what's today going to be like. A lot of times I think people in 9-to-5s, they wake up and they go to work and they're miserable because they know exactly what their day is going to be like. I'm just going to answer the phone another 200 times today and I'm going to repeat the same things to people, or I'm going to go and I'm going to scan an item and as people are checking out, or whatever your job is, and you know exactly what it's going to be. There's no excitement. There's no thrill. There's no difference. Whereas reselling, man, it's just always different.
Yeah, agreed. Every day it's different for me. And again, everybody's different. I've heard other people say that you should treat reselling like it's your job. Like you wake up at 7 a.m., you have your breakfast, you go to your eBay office from 8 o'clock till noon, and then you do this. And so you do what you want. And that kind of leads to number 4, which we'll get to that eventually. But the next one is learning. And the reason why full-time reseller, I put this under learning, is that when you're part-time, you don't have a lot of time to learn. Sometimes you only have that quick half hour to make it to the thrift on your lunch break or on the way home. But when you're selling full-time, you have the ability to make these huge hauls that you can spend the time going through all the inventory, right? And you can go like, all right, this is what I'm going to pick up from now on. This is not what I'm going to pick up from now on. Or you have the time to network with other resellers, right? And so you learn from other resellers. And so I remember the one of the biggest things that changed when I went from part-time to full-time was I was able to learn exponentially a lot faster than I did when I was doing part-time. Because part-time, I remember, I wouldn't really get into reselling until it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And so I would throw on a YouTube video and I would do some listing and I'd do some packing. And the next morning I'd have to go to my, a job, and I would do that all day. And that's all I had. But when I had full-time reselling, I could hit the thrift, or I could go to a garage sale. I could go to the Swami. I could go wherever I wanted. I could begin to learn more and more what I should pick up, what I shouldn't pick up. I learned who to network with, who not to network with, and just things to keep out for. Where when you're tied to 9 to 5, you kind of have these, constraints in these small time windows to learn things. So the next one, though, I do enjoy.
Yeah, the next one is being your own boss, and this is huge because in a 9 to 5, even if you've worked your way up and you're into management or upper management, you're always accountable to somebody else. You're always, in a lot of ways, you have to worry about, am I pleasing this other person? Am I doing what this other person wants me to do? Maybe this other person, your boss, has implemented a policy that is not going to be effective, or it's going to make your job more difficult. And in a lot of ways, you're kind of just stuck because they hold over you all the things we talked about in the last episode, the last Monday mini, or you've got your 401k, you've got your retirement set up, you got your benefits, you've got your planned vacation and your sick days and all of the things, the stability. Well, all of those things is almost like somebody's holding it over your head and saying, I've got your stability. And you have to, you're only as stable as long as you can continue to appease that other person or do things in a way that that person wants, even if it's not the most efficient. One of the things I love about my current job, my teaching, and I've worked at other places where it's not as much. I know other people who have other teaching jobs that are the same, where there's just not a lot of autonomy. I have a ton of autonomy in my classroom right now, and it makes a world of difference when you can say, hey, the district wants me to implement this new program. I think it's terrible. It's not going to help the kids. I'm not doing it. And when you're reselling and you're reselling full time, or anything that's a hustle or something where you're doing it on your own, you get to make those decisions. Now, there is a downside to that, which is you're also the one responsible, right? If things go wrong, you have nobody you can point the finger at and say that was poor management, because that's you, right? You're the one that made the decision. But the beauty there is you have that freedom to say, you know what? I do think it would be better for me today in my business if I went enlisted instead of sourcing, or I do think today it would be better to go source, or maybe today I'm not going to do either of those things and I'm going to focus on my family. And you're the boss of your business, and its success and its failure is only on your shoulder. And that comes with a lot of weight, but that also comes with a lot of freedom.
Yeah, I agreed. And again, I've been doing this for 5 years. And one of the things I love is not having to deal with people's egos, not having to deal with, did I say the right thing, or what does this individual think of me? You know, especially in reselling, like you, not only do you not have to answer to people, but generally you don't have to answer to people. Like you don't meet people unless you choose to. And so it's a great advantage, especially if you're just kind of tired of, you know, always walking on eggshells, always trying to please the boss, always making sure that, you know, you play the game. Like in reselling, you really don't have to play that game at all. Now, playing the game does help when you network and you talk to the right people, and that's in any business. But being your own boss is incredible. Now, the last one I enjoy is the ability to scale. So I found when I was doing, you know, I hate saying 9 to 5 because I was a teacher, so there was no 9 to 5. It was all the time, but there was a wall, right? There was only so many stipends I could take on. There was only, you know, so many classes I could teach. And I was not going to break a certain barrier of amount of making money. When reselling, you know, I don't want to say sky's the limit, but you are, you know, unlimited in how much you can make. Now, that doesn't mean that if you just work hard, you're going to end up being a millionaire. What it means is that over time, right, and with the common sense of sourcing quality goods, being consistent, providing great customer service, and so on, that over time you should be able to scale. And month after month, you know, you'll be able to grow more and grow more and grow more. The next year you grow more. The next year you grow more. There's not a, you know, a plateau where you're just like stuck. And in many 9 to 5 jobs, you hit those plateaus, right? I know some people that have for years tried to move up into some managerial position or administration, and they don't have it. Like it doesn't matter how long they worked at a company, they're just not going to get promoted. They're the red stapler guy. That's just where they're at. And in reselling, you have the option to go, you know what? I'm going to scale. And the way I'm going to scale is I'm going to make a plan, and I'm going to source this much. I'm going to list this much. I'm going to aim for this many sales. And yes, you know, you actually have to do some educated guesses as to would you be able to, right? Because the market's unpredictable too, right? In this economy right now, you know, how much can you scale? I don't know. We're going to find out as soon as things get even more interesting. But you have the ability to just continue moving forward without there being a ceiling where there would be in a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So hopefully all these helps you understand why it's better to be a full-time reseller. I mean, these are all incredible. The freedom and time, the adventure, the learning, being your own boss, the ability to scale really should motivate a lot of you that are on your journey that, you know, yes, full-time reselling is doable. Full-time reselling is something you want to aim for, but you got to make sure that you balance it with the things that you would lose if you jump from that 9 to 5. With that being said, make sure to be real,
Be relevant,
and be reselling late.
Peace.